What is up, ninjas? My name is Samworld. Yesterday I taught you guys how to make a melody like camel fat, and today we're going to be using that melody to learn about delay, specifically the Ableton Echo Delay, which I feel like is one of the most powerful delays out there, even as good as some third-party ones you can find out there. So before buying a new delay, why not try the Echo Delay if you own Ableton Live 10? I mean, you bought it, you have it, and it's time to get into it. By the end of this tutorial, guys, my goal is going to be for you guys to be able to use it comfortably, be able to be like, I want to have this effect on my delay and be able to program it. And that is my purpose with this tutorial. I'm going to be showing you guys how to use a delay and doing cool things with it, cool things you can do with it, sound design wise, as well as the effect wise of it. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the tutorial. As always, if you guys want to support my channel, you can head over to evilsounds.com, check out my sound design work, guys. And if you like a sound, use it, buy it, and then use this Echo Delay on it, so make it sound better. But let's get straight into the tutorial. Alright guys, and welcome inside of Ableton. By the end of this tutorial, my goal is for you guys to be able to use the Echo Delay like a professional, be able to think of a delay you want for your track and be able to execute it properly. I'll try and give you guys tips as we go, but I'm going to assume that you guys know what a standard delay does, so we should move pretty fast. First off, guys, on the top left, we're going to have the timing of the delay. By default, it's set to dotted. I like to have it on notes. Dotted is good for a bit of swing to the delay if that's what you want. Now, here, if we have a fast delay, we can create stuff like Sonderling, if you guys have heard some of their old. You know, a lot of the Sonderling stuff has like that really cool kind of delayed vibe to it. So definitely, you know, at higher delays, you can do that. You know, stuff like that. More of a sound design tool there. Now, as we start to move out to 116 and 1/8, those delays are going to be better for faster melodies. Specifically because if we use a 1/4 melody, which is like every, you know, 1/4 of a bar here, and it starts to go bam, bam, bam. You can use it if you have big gaps in your melody, but if your melody is always playing, you're going to get the stuff that was supposed to be playing here delayed to here. It will cause like the notes to kind of bunch up. You can counter that with some other features that we're going to see here inside of Echo. However, a lot of times you want to kind of prepare for that. So a 1/8 for me would probably be best here, because now the next setting is the feedback. Now the feedback setting in a delay, guys, will control the repetition, how many times it gets delayed. At 0% feedback, you're guaranteed one delay, and that's it. It doesn't go higher. Feedbacks will guarantee you higher, more repetitive delay. There it goes. So a lot of people confuse that with the timing of the delay, so please keep in mind the feedback is going to be more of a decay feature for the delay. You don't want to use it high. The best delay will be one where you have the delay happen, and then by the time the next note hits, that delay will probably be either one, not as loud as the first delay that you're going to have, okay? So as you can see here in the echo tunnel, let's put this filter down. And this is going to represent the delay you have. So as you can see, as we start to go back, it starts to fade out. So that represents kind of like the volume change. So you can have that be more like so, like. Okay, so there we have it at notes. We're going to lower the dry and wet. You know, there it's just like repeating it. Now, the next feature that is very important in the delay is going to be this filter that happens here, which is going to help us in kind of taming the delay into a certain frequency that we want. You know, a lot of the times, guys, here is where you can kind of say like, oh, I want my delay to just have the mids of the sound. Okay, if you want the highest, move it to the highest. Okay, you can even move this. Okay, and that is very important part of the delay, guys. Now, just keep that in mind. Now, as we go up higher than the delays, these kind of delays, 1/4, 1/2, you know, 1/4 delay, let's say we have the delay hit here, and then, or the notes hit here, then the delay will probably start over here. So it's very important. That's why that you use these type of delays sparingly. You can use them on sounds that hit maybe every 4 bars, every 2 bars, like a massive techno hit or something where it's not playing all the time, to kind of make these delays sound a lot better. In my opinion, you know, you don't want to have like a melody and have the first part of the melody play on top of the second part, because at times the overlapping notes might not get along and it's going to sound very messy. You can debate that you can have low, dry, and wet with that as well, and it will work. Yeah, but it always sounds better with 1/8, 1/16 if you have a fast melody. Now, to the left of this, guys, we're going to have the stereo ping pong and the mid-side style of delay. So the ping pong one is the traditional one. Let's say we have a fully mono sound, which we do, which is a saw. As you notice, the delay sounded like it was coming from the center of the mid. So if we have a ping pong, that's going to alter the delay so that it hits on left first and then the right. You can still have the same values as 1/8, 1/8, but what it's actually doing is maybe like 1/8, 1/16 there. So it's going to be sort of. Okay. However, the ping pong will sound a little bit better, so we're going to set that. And the cool thing about that, guys, is that it creates stereo for a mono sound. A lot of times people will be like, yo, Sen, like, how do I make something wider? How do I make my mix sound wider? Well, the first thing is that people will probably start to make it wide by using widening plugins like the widener from Polyverse to the Haas effect. And a lot of times you can create the width with these kind of effects, like a ping pong, a delay. You know, that's one of the things we can do. But there's like a lower value though when we have ping. So what I want is that, but I want that delay to stick around before hitting this next note. So maybe a little bit more feedback there. A little bit. There we go, and maybe less highs. Perfect. Okay, cool. The next thing we have in the Echo Delay, guys, is the input volume, which you can increase, which will pretty much increase the volume going into the delay. It's sort of like another dry and wet, if you think about it, where it's the volume of the wet signal and dry, because the higher this is, the louder the delay will be itself. Now, something cool that this has is that if you turn this clip dry on and you increase this input will get pretty much will get layered with the lead again. So it's kind of like a feedback. So you have two of the leads duplicated. Think of it that way. So you create like this sort of distortion on the lead. You just gotta be really careful. When you have it off, it really doesn't do anything but just make the delay louder. But that's something cool that you can use maybe in the future. Here we have this sort of feedback inward, which is more prominent when you have very faster delay. You can kind of hear a little shift in that, but again, I haven't found really good use for that. So we're gonna put this back to 1/8, guys, and pretty much here, the next thing we have as settings is the reverb section. Now, the reverb section is adding a reverb, and you can add it post-delay or pre-delay, or on the feedback of the delay, and you know, the feedback creates really cool stuff. Like if you run it hot, it creates a self-sustained. You know, a delay that just kind of starts to resonate itself. You can see there. Oh, it's still going. Let's lower that decay. All right, so lower decays for sure. This is a decay of the. So with the feedback, you're just adding reverb to that delay, and I find that feature really cool. I have not seen that in another delay, but you can still replicate it by having a return for sure, having your delay there and putting the reverb on top of the delay. Now the other thing you can do post reverb here. Pre, so the reverb itself gets delayed in the pre, so there you have those features there, guys. Now these are just settings for taste there. You can do whatever you want, and then we do have the stereo knob here, which will work better when you have actual stereo on this. If you don't have stereo on this, it doesn't do anything. It will alter the reverb stereo on this there, as you can see, but the stereo width of the delay itself you won't hear it get widened just because there's no difference in the left and the right, so there's no way for it to widen. The last thing here, guys, is going to be the timing. As we were talking about, you can unstereo link that, so you have different times for like the right speaker to the left speaker. At the bottom, you can unsync it, so you have time values. This is super useful if you're trying to do kind of modulations where like you link these up. You can definitely get some experimental sound design going there with that as you modulate that. With sync, you can choose notes, triplets to get more of a swingier style of delay. For instance, the dotted one was the default. So definitely worth looking into. And at the bottom, you can offset it just a tiny bit. Okay, and that's the timing now. Now, the next important section, guys, is the modulation section, where it's pretty much an LFO that is routed to the delay and to the filter, which is very useful. Now, to the delay here, we're pretty much altering the delay times here, as I was talking about earlier. You can do a lot of cool stuff with that. I definitely recommend you do it at a very low value if you do want to use that, because at high values, it just sounds like you're automating the pitch. At very low values, at a very slow speed, like let's say maybe 1, which would be like a bar, and maybe just a tiny bit. As you can see, even though we have the left and the right hooked, they're not having the same delay. It sounds like a ping pong, and the reason for that is because of the phase here. If you have the phase at 0%, they both get LFO. They both get delayed at the same amount. But the moment we start to do this shift to it, then we start to get different values for the left and the right. So this is a cool way to kind of do a ping pong where it has a bit of randomizing or a bit of a change to, you know, a little bit high. Sort of sounds like a chorus if you think about it, which is pretty cool. Definitely useful at low values, but not at very high ones, unfortunately. Now, the next one, which is the filter section, is very useful in high values as well as short values. And I really like this because let's say that you want the filter to kind of move to the right or to the left, like so, as you have your delays playing. It gives a really cool effect. For instance, here we'll do 1/4 and we'll have it be both the same. Let's put a ping pong. Like, it sounds so melodical. Like, it adds extra to the melody if you think about it, because it has that nice thing. You definitely set it up to be a, and that's going to give you different effects. We do have a sine, triangle, inverse saw, square, and a random. So that you guys can use that there. Put it at full 100% if you just want to hear the delay itself. It's a good technique to just create a good delay there. And finally, to the right of that, we do have this envelope mix that you can use. At 100%, it's fully envelope, but one of the things that puzzles me about it is that we don't have an envelope to mess with. So at the end, you know, it does create this. So use it at your own pleasure, guys. I can't explain that one there personally, me. So I'll have it with that modulation. And finally, we have the last of it, which is going to be the character section, which is really cool. First off, this is the thing I like about the Echo Delay and the reason why I'm making this video, because you can do a lot with this. First off, we have the gate. So the gate is pretty much, as you guys know, the gate doesn't allow something to come out unless the threshold is met. So if I have this set to, we won't hear any delay because the lead itself that we're using is not activating the delay. However, if we lower that down more, the cool thing about this is, let's say you have a sound which has velocity to it that you can alter. Well, you can have the delay hit on certain notes rather than hitting on all of it. That's the importance of the gate that you can do there. Now, the next setting, guys, which is super dope, is the ducking. Now, I'm going to put the feedback really high just to make a point with this. But the ducking here, if you watch the Cashmere tutorial where you have a lead getting reverbed and delayed, you can put a sidechain on that reverb and delay specifically where it sidechains itself to the lead so that you sidechain every time the lead hits, the reverb gets ducked in the delay as well. Well, here you have it set in the features of the Echo Delay, which is super dope in my opinion. That way you don't need to route it like that. And pretty much here, if we lower, all right, the release here is going to be the release for the ducking. So if you have it really high, it's always going to be ducked. So use it at low values to control kind of like the usually like 100 is good because it's not so fast coming up. It's gradual and it sounds pretty cool. Now, the other cool thing we can do with this effect is the reverb, the Brooks, the W&W effect, which is where the reverb is automated up. Here you can set it up like so, where you have it set to feedback, maybe a bit of decay, lower that feedback. You know, let's mess with this so we get like a high reverb, like a full out reverb there. Put the let's get a delay itself. You can see that. That's why you don't want high delays, guys. You gotta be really careful with that. But you can see there, it sounds so cool. So you can do that with the ducking section of the Echo Boy there. So let's put it back into ping pong now. Now, the next thing we have, guys, is going to be the noise section here, which is just kind of like emulating analog by adding noise. The good thing about it is it does get feedback, delayed the way the lead does, and you can also add a bit of a morph to switch between the noises. So I guess you have pink noise and white noise. So So that's cool there. If you, I guess you want to emulate the analog kind of static noise that comes from having it connected. And finally, the last one, guys, is going to be this wobble, which is very similar to modulating the filter or sorry, the delay times of this, but it's meant to emulate the kind of like the tape delay, where I guess you would have a bit of a wobble effect, or the delay time will get kind of modulated. So that's what this is for here. The amount is how much. And then the morph is kind of like, think about it going from a sine to a square to a saw. Now, the last thing here that we do have to talk about, guys, is this repitch button. Now, the last thing we have to talk about, guys, is a repitch button, which is a bit weird. When you have that on, it emulates analog. So in analog, when you would move the delay to the left and right, it creates those weird glitches or weird kind of pitch modulations that you heard. However, when you have it turned off, it's a lot smoother if you want to do that. You know, let's set it to time, and then let's just do this together. So you can do cool effects like that if you want to automate that. It's really cool, as you guys can see. But with the repitch on, it creates more of that glitchy ones that is useful for people maybe wanting to get that goofy sound. Let's go high, low. Alright, guys, and that's pretty much going to be the tutorial. You have the information to do any kind of delay you want. For instance, here we have this kind of shot here, and let's assume that we want a very rough delay that is very like fast, that's almost on top of the lead. Well, in order to do that, you know you need a fast delay time for that. And then you know you need a lot of feedback if you want it to last a while. Don't go above 100 unless you want it to self-sustain, but around maybe 70. And then let's say you want it only in the mids. We can definitely program that, higher, dry, and wet. And there you go. Let's say you're like, oh, that sounds pretty cool, but I would like more highs from it. Just move the filter. And there you go. Now, ping pong effect or there you go. You have that. Maybe you want a traditional. You know, there you have a little bit of that. Yeah, so let's lower the. Let's go maybe 1/4. Let's wait for it to, yeah. Let's say you don't want that pre-pitch, then turn that off. You already know how to. There you go. It's fading out like most people like that one. Let's assume you want the fade out to start to modulate the filter. Well, here you go. You can automate. You know, let's make this small. And let's make it a little bit higher so it opens it up more. And then make the rate be 1/4 or 1/8 to be the same as our delay. I mean, that's the idea, you know. Reverb. Oh, that one sounded sweet. All right, let's assume, I don't know, like you do want the delay to kind of phase a bit as it's. Let's make it. Yeah, and there we go. Let's make it slower too so that you can actually hear the. Maybe like, let's do it a little faster, like 1/4. That would be kind of. A little bit less. Let's make it different on left and right. That's the. I mean, hopefully you guys can see the potential in this to make like really weird effects, really unique delays. A lot of people always think you need the right sounds, the right drums for it to be unique. But also the way you do delays, the way you do reverbs, that's a good way to do it. But I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful. I hope that it helps you in creating the delays you want. Check out the Echo Delay in Ableton Live 10. Transfer over from FL, guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. Take care and peace out.